Persona 5 Royal is an incredible game, but what if Joker was the opposite gender? Previous Persona games have had such a feature, more specifically Persona 3 Portable. And when Persona 5 Royal was coming out, people actually suspected that the new character Kasumi would basically fill that role.
Is Kasumi
She
this
didn't.
one on the screen?
Yeah, could you not tell? Why would I have a picture of some random girl?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
I'm joined by Awesome 2000, by the way, if you couldn't tell. She's here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be going through all the major arcs of the game. Don't worry. Yes, Kasumi's a royal character. All you need to know about her is, well, she's a royal character who has a persona.
Okay.
There will be spoilers for Royal. However, they will be in their own section, as everything I want to talk about regarding Royal happens to all be in the third semester, which is a Royal exclusive moment. So don't worry about that. For all purposes, I don't mention, Joker and Kasumi's roles are basically switched. Nothing too special. So, how do I spell prologue?
Prologue.
Prologue. That looks wrong. Because it didn't accept my O. There we go. Prologue. So they would probably start like this. This is a render made by Reddit that I found on Reddit, posted by user u/CESCOBB in r/persona.
Okay.
So give credit. Credit's
Choose
due.
the protagonist gender.
I thought you slept last night.
I didn't. I told you I was up at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, just kind of similar to 3, just with a persona theme. But we're just gonna discuss all the changes that would have to be made to accommodate this. Basically, they're Joker and Kasumi are just kind of flipped. Nothing too special. Joker is where Kasumi would be. So, but obviously Kasumi also has a sister. Slight problem. So we're just gonna give Joker a twin brother.
Okay.
Like, I know this is coming out of nowhere, but also, honestly, I think, just open the door. Honestly, I think it would kind of be fun to just name them the two names that people debate Joker's actual first name to be.
I think this would get really confusing.
Ren and Akira.
Mm-hmm.
Just because those are the two names the community debates over. So let's just name both of them that.
I think it would get very confusing.
Shut up. Kasumi has a twin sister. It's really not that confusing. One of them's
Are
dead.
they identical twins?
Yes.
How
And
do you
one
tell
of-
them apart?
One's dead!
Oh, okay.
That's how you tell them
I thought
apart!
you said she was gay, and I'm like, does it really matter?
I did not say she's gay. When did I say that?
I thought instead of dead, I said she's gay.
No,
And I'm like, what does that matter? Does she look different because she's gay? I
no,
don't know.
she's dead.
Okay.
They're very, very different. One of them's 5 feet deep in the ground.
Okay.
The other is alive.
Okay. Okay. So would Joker's twin brother be dead?
Yes.
Okay. Does he come back to life?
No.
Okay.
Dude, this Persona it's not a magic show.
Okay.
But aside from that, that also means Kasumi's twin sister never existed.
Oh, okay.
Because Joker doesn't have a sibling. And she's replacing Joker. So yeah, Joker, like, basically, Samira's role in this world has just been replaced with a Joker twin. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I needed to figure out some way to make this work. So you take what you get.
Okay.
Aside from that, I'll mention all the changes as they come up. But really, that's the main things. Other than their backstories are also kind of flipped.
Uh-huh.
I won't get into... I'll go in chronological order when you find them out. You find Kasumi's out really late in the game, so I won't mention Joker's.
Uh-huh.
If you've played Persona 5 Royal, you know what it would probably be, and just switching the characters around a little bit. And in Kasumi's case, basically instead of Joker getting arrested by a evil politician, it's Kasumi. That's basically Lots of major changes aside from the main story.
Okay. So same story, just gender difference.
Yeah, that's the point. That's this entire hypothetical. In a nutshell. That goes off screen. So first up, I guess the Kamashita Arc. And also technically a prologue.
Okay.
So, it would pretty well go basically the same up until you meet Kamashita. Since it's pretty obvious Kamashita's sexist in a different kind of way.
Okay. Do I know who Kamashita is?
He's the first villain.
Okay.
This guy.
Okay.
I'm pointing at him under because I have music playing.
Okay.
He sucks.
Okay, so what happens?
So, basically, instead of Kamashita basically just ignoring Joker's existence, he'd probably try to persuade Kasumi into joining him. Similar to the situation with On.
Okay.
Also in this, Kasumi would be a lot less shy and more outspoken because she's the protagonist now and not a side character for 90% of the game. So, just small other touch. But, you'll deny and meet up with Ryuji. Ryuji kind of explains, hey, Kamashita sucks. He just beats up his male students. Like, he's just a horrible person.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same as the actual game.
Okay.
Including saying that, like, he's the king of the castle.
Okay, that's why he's got the crown on his head.
Yeah. Which would then lead into them entering the metaverse.
Okay.
Which generally acts the same until they meet Shadow Kamashita. He'd treat Ryuji the same. But it's Kamashita, so he'd definitely not be very nice to Kasumi. Well, he would be nice. In a weird way. It's hard to explain without getting this video demonetized.
Okay.
Is the best way I can put it.
Okay.
If you've played Persona 5, you know what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Well,
I obviously haven't, so I don't know, but that's okay.
basically, he'd probably try to treat Kasumi the same way he treats On and Shiho. Which is not good.
No, okay. Very abusive.
Yeah, I'll go with that. His female students have it better than his male students.
Okay.
He broke Ryuji's leg and didn't get in any trouble.
Ouch. Okay.
Like, to a point where Ryuji can't run properly anymore. Note, he was a member of their school's track and field team.
Okay.
But Kamashita hated that because he only likes volleyball, so he broke Ryuji's leg!
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, he's not a good person.
Okay.
So the pals would basically play out generally the same, just with him treating Kasumi similar to how he treats On and Shiho, instead of him treating Joker like he treats Ryuji and Mishima. But aside from that, we'll play generally the same. Also, small note, her persona still will be Cendrillon instead of Arson. I think Arson fits better for the game, but also, Cendrillon just kind of parallels Joker so freaking perfectly, since it's a light-based persona, and then Arsene is a dark-based persona. They kind of just mirror each other quite well. Aside from that, by the way, Cendrillon would be nerfed and Arsene would be buffed, basically. Just so, because obviously you're going to get Joker now, in the very end of the game, and then you're getting Cendrillon at the start of the game. That's gonna need to be rebalanced. We're ignoring gameplay things like that, though. But aside from that, again, the Kamashita arc would play out relatively the same, just with him treating Kasumi very similar to how he treats Anne on. But there really isn't much more to that. Just him being an unlikable butthole, I think is the best way to put it. Also, he's a freaking incredible villain. He's so unlikable. Yes, that makes him incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, again, the arc would go relatively the same. You'd meet Dr. Maruki, like normal. Also, if you're wondering who that is, royal character. They're just a new confidant, but they're introduced to the story.
Okay.
Just for all those who have not played royal. And you'd progress through normal. I think now's probably a good time to bring up confidants. Since you basically just got them.
Okay.
If you played the game like I did and did an early run of
Mm-hmm.
the palace. Confidants. You can no longer romance female partners, and you can now romance male partners.
Okay.
Which, yes, means you'll finally be able to play this game without someone yelling at you to date the teacher.
Okay.
Because that's actually one of the best confidants in the game. It actually...
The teacher?
Yeah. She actually has so many good perks.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually useful.
Is there no male teachers that you could?
We're
Yeah.
not changing any confidants.
Oh, okay.
You can still do the teacher's confidant, you just can't
okay.
date her.
Okay.
So, like, now you can still... Like, now you can date Ryuji, for example.
Okay.
That would be interesting to see. And also for the exchanges where, like, you don't have anyone to date and you normally hang out with Ryuji, we'll make that on. She's your first female party member.
Uh-huh.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Morgana's at this part of the story. Morgana's not really that memorable in the first palace. Because it's focused on everyone else. But after that, we have the Matarami Arc. I accidentally muted instead of typing Matarami.
Okay.
I can't think of many things that would change in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, really, Matarami is just a butthole to everyone. But I could definitely see in the one section where the Phantom Thieves basically ask Anne, hey, we need to get in to the house.
Mm-hmm.
On, you have to strip.
Oh. Okay.
Which, by the way, it's a pretty hilarious scene, because, like, it just cuts to it, and, like, you see a shirt fly across the room, and then it pans over to Anne, and she's wearing more clothes than I have in my closet.
Oh, okay.
It's hilarious. Like, she's a freaking ball with how many clothes she has on. But I could definitely see since because they basically chose on, because, well, you're the only female party member.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but since Kasumi is now here, I could definitely see the player being given an option like, hey, I'll go in Anne's on stead. Which, the scene basically play out exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Just with Kasumi instead of on. Aside from that, I really don't see much more about the Matarami arc changing. Because really, Kasumi doesn't have much of a big role in this one either. No, when we get to the parts where Kasumi has a big role,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna get interesting. And there is one part where she does in, I think, the Akumara arc, but we're not bringing that up because that gets spoilery, and we don't want to talk about it until we get to the third semester section. Next up would be the Kaneshiro Arc. Which also, yay, we get to listen to Price. Which, again, really doesn't change that much with Joker now being female and replaced with Kasumi. It just doesn't. Yeah, that's kind of the hard part for this. Like, the first half of the game really wouldn't change that much in my opinion. It's basically the bad ending would change slightly if you fail to stop Kaneshiro. But aside from that, nothing really would change. I genuinely can't think of anything for this. Sorry, there just isn't much for that arc either.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, the Futaba Arc.
Futaba. Okay. We like Futaba. Would you really want to change her?
Well, not her, it's the arc.
Okay.
Which again, really wouldn't be affected that much. Although this does remind me of a small touch. You technically would be in a different classroom since Kasumi's a first year,
Mm-hmm.
basically grade 9.
Okay.
in our country.
Yeah.
Instead of a second year, which would be grade 10.
Yeah.
Like Joker, On, and Ryuji.
Okay.
Kasumi is a year younger than them.
Yeah. What's Futaba?
What?
What is Futaba?
I do not recall.
Oh, okay.
It also probably doesn't help she doesn't go to school.
Oh, why don't she go to school?
Dude, she doesn't leave her room for the first half of the game.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know. I haven't played the game.
But, again, I really don't see Futaba's arc changing that much either. It's like... Because the main bulk of it is basically just trying to get the thieves to open Futaba... To get Futaba to open up.
Okay.
And, really, Joker being Kasumi wouldn't change that. Which... the arc's fine.
Okay.
But... This is where things actually get slightly interesting. I'm not gonna switch music here just because this is one where it's in between arcs.
Okay.
How do I spell Hawaii?
HAWAII.
Okay, I was missing an A. That's why it looked wrong.
Yeah.
An I. The Hawaii trip.
Okay. I didn't know they went to Hawaii. Oh yeah, I do remember. They were sitting outside or something.
Yeah. The reason I bring this up is because the school field trip for second years was to Hawaii.
Nice. I wish you had that. I'd volunteer to go.
You also realize we're in a pandemic?
I'd still volunteer to go.
Whatever. Kasumi, as mentioned previously, is a first year.
Mm-hmm.
And,
doesn't get to go.
well, she goes on a different trip.
Oh, okay.
And also, yes, you can argue, oh, Makoto's there. It's like, yeah, because they ran out of freaking teachers to chaperone. So they just asked the student council president.
Okay.
It's nothing major. Now, obviously, due to plot convenience, Kasumi ends up there anyway for some reason, but that's more plot contrivance than anything else, which I'll bring up in a sec. But it is important because this is actually the start of the 5th arc. This is the start of the Akumara Arc, which happens on the relatively unimportant and very missable, well, it's not missable, it's forced by the story, but very unmemorable trip to Hawaii. Like, seriously, you'd think it'd be more eventful. You basically talk to 2 NPCs and go home. You're there for a week, why don't we do anything? Like, it's a Persona game, we need an obligatory beach scene anyway, just do it here! Whatever. But yeah, Kasumi ends up there anyway, because athlete thing, which is subplot I never mentioned, because it probably wouldn't exist in this. So, I don't know, we need to figure out some other reason Kasumi's in Hawaii. Probably similar to Yusuke, since he ended up in Hawaii instead of Los Angeles, because, oh, there was a giant freaking tornado on the way there! So they just landed in Hawaii instead. And also conveniently had a hotel room for every student.
Nice.
That was really oddly planned.
It wasn't sold out.
Which is extra weird considering there was an already entire school at said hotel. I don't know. Probably similar thing with Kasumi. Her class is going somewhere in the same path, relatively same path, as Yusuke, and the tornado thing just makes them go, well, guess we're stopping in Hawaii instead.
Yeah. Coincidence.
Because we need some way for her to end up in Hawaii to experience the Big Bang Burger scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, time for the worst dungeon in the game, and no one can argue that with me. The Akumara Arc. And in this arc, honestly, once again, aside from the Hawaii plot part, I don't see much changing. I could definitely see you possibly having an easier time talking to Haru when you need to get information out of her than Joker. Because also, Haru doesn't know either of you, but I feel like she'd probably assume Kasumi's gentler, just by the fact she looks less threatening.
Okay.
And also doesn't have a criminal record
Mm-hmm.
for a crime she didn't commit, or he didn't commit. Whatever. But the Akumara arc would play out basically the same. Again, there is that one scene with Kasumi in between these arcs, but I'm not bringing that up here because it is super spoilery and requires, which I'll just bring up in the third semester part instead, because that's the royal spoiler section. And this is generally where the game actually starts to divert for the two genders. Really, up to this point, it's small plot differences, and then you can date the other gender's confidant. Which, again, means you can't date your teacher and your physician. Thankfully. Or a small child.
Okay.
Well, technically they're like a god thing. They're probably really old, but they still look like a small child. Who you can date. You just accept these things after playing enough Persona games.
Okay.
But obviously, with one exception of the Akumara Palace being the boss fight will be slightly different. In Royal, Akumara targets a specific party member. For example, for Joker, when he's targeting him, target the man in the pompous black coat. So he'd have to come up with something for who wasn't in the party at this time, Kasumi. Yeah, that's really it. In all fairness, he'd probably say something like, just target the woman in the leotard. Or target the person in the black leotard. Because her thief outfit is literally just a leotard.
Okay. Okay.
What?
No.
You said okay and, like, rolled your eyes.
Black leotard. I'm just picturing it.
It's right here!
Okay. That looks green, but okay.
Yeah,
I
because
guess
it's
it's
like...
black.
It is, it's just
Yeah.
colorized. Because it also has light redding. Anyway, time for things to get different, as this is where Kasumi actually enters as a usable party member. The Psy Arc. Also known as the Casino of Jealousy. Also known as the palace you start the game in. Also known as Kasumi is actually a Phantom Thief now, kinda.
Okay.
It would play basically the same up until the very end. Since in Royal, after you're betrayed by Akechi, wow, what a shock. The evil-looking man voiced by Xander Mobus, who usually is an insane person, turns evil and betrays you. Wow. But in the evacuation, Futaba notices there's an extra signal on the radar that doesn't belong to the thieves or Akechi.
Okay.
And also ignoring the thousands of police officers.
Okay.
Because for some reason they don't register those. And she notices it's following Joker, or in this case, Kasumi.
Okay.
Joker eventually ends up getting cornered, which in this case would be Kasumi, by enemies, where the mysterious extra person just kind of jumps down and helps you in a fight, which in Royal, like in Joker's path, is Kasumi, and in this, it'd be Joker. Joker would help you, and basically, I'm gonna leave you to do your thing, and leave.
Okay.
And you'd leave. You'd end up getting arrested by the police, and starting the whole interrogation scene that starts up this entire game. You eventually retell them the events of the last several hours of playtime, and about half a year, or in this case, 25 minutes of a video. Yeah. And then, we enter the part where this gets interesting. The Shido Arc. the reason this is interesting is this actually has a focus on Joker, since, you know, the whole man who got him arrested thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it would be the man who got Kasumi arrested thing. It would go relatively the same, as I keep saying.
Mm-hmm.
I swear it gets different the next dungeon. I swear. But, generally, like, the actual gameplay plays out the same, with, once again, you being given the option to basically be the female bait instead of on in a part of the dungeon, as well as the CEOs and all those people being sexist towards you, because old men who are rich.
Yeah. That's not stereotypical.
Yeah, have you seen the two gay characters in this series?
No.
Because they're basically the most stereotypical and offensive stereotypes ever for gay people. One of the bad parts of this game's writing. One of the few bad parts.
Okay.
But generally, it would go basically the same until the confrontation with Shido. Well, Shadow Shido. Because in the game, Joker basically goes, "Hey, remember me? You ruined my effing life."
Okay.
I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah, I know.
Joker really doesn't speak that much. Like, as in, I think my sentence was longer than any sentence he's ever said.
Yeah.
Hey, remember me? You ruined my effing life is one of the longest sentences that ever come out of... I think one of the longest sentences he says in the games is "Pillar to them Satanile." Yeah, how long? Am I wrong?
Nope.
But you go through, confront him, and you win, or so it seems. In Royal, Shido basically just separates the whole party members. You guys get in an argument and a fist fight. Yeah, let's fight the buff politician. The buff, red, angry politician.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, it'd be a bit more of a confrontation. But usual drill, Phantom Thieves win. And then, we end up in the most annoying part of the game for me. December 24th.
Christmas Eve?
Yes.
Okay.
After this, you guys notice, hey, no one's caring that we changed the heart of a politician who just won an election.
Mm-hmm. How do you change his heart?
Phantom Thief stuff.
Okay.
You get used to this. So you guys go, so Morana's like, okay, so hear me out. We changed the heart of the entire Republic of Japan. Again, I'm paraphrasing. So it basically goes the same. But this is another dungeon Joker has a very, very big role in.
Okay.
But yeah. You go through the annoying dungeon that is Mementos. I hate this place. Honestly, I hate procedurally generated dungeons in Persona games. Yeah, Persona 4, 3. Your dungeon layouts suck. Half of them are just hallways. I literally got a Mementos 4 in one of my playthroughs. That was literally just a long, straight line. Why?
Okay.
But you end up in Mementos Depths. Also, you end up basically getting confronted by the people of the hearts you've changed and didn't kill Akumara. Which would be, what's his name? Kamashita, Matarami, Kaneshiro, and then Shido. Yeah, 7 dungeons and then half of them are dead. But so you have the standard confrontation with them. You continue through and find the Holy Grail. Which No. Just know that, like, you end up going through the twisted version of Shibuya. Also the whole Velvet Room scene, which, I'll mention that quick. It is going to play out very differently. Because obviously they're basically going, thanks Joker, you've helped us through so much. In this case, we're now playing as Kasumi. And also Kasumi would do things slightly differently. And also, again, you have the option to basically just be, yeah, let's not force on to do all this stuff. Also, I just realized I haven't mentioned half the female part. I never even acknowledged Makoto existing. I've never even acknowledged Makoto existing. Makoto exists. She's a pretty useful party member. I just somehow forgot to mention Makoto in this. Oh yeah, because her main arc was one I pretty much skipped over because it wouldn't have changed much. Because I would have thought the rich, corrupt mob boss doesn't really care about people. He's more just like, oh yeah, whatever. I'm gonna blackmail you. Don't give me a couple million yen. It's like, we're literally a group of teenagers. What do you expect us to do? Sell drugs. Great! That's basically that arc in a nutshell.
Sell drugs?
It's a mob boss. Do you think he cares? Your options are basically, well, guess we get arrested again, or sell drugs. Or in the Phantom Thieves case, hey, so, let's just change his heart. We've already done this twice. Sure, nothing can go wrong. But yeah, you end up in the Yaudabelt fight. Which, wow, I'm mentioning a boss fight. There's a reason. There's a cutscene in this fight. After you beat him, twice, you enter technically a third phase, but it's one of those glorified cutscene fights. And as Joker, you awaken to your second tier persona. Pillage them. Satanile!
Oh my.
I'm a good voice actor.
That was loud.
Obviously, Kasumi wouldn't have Satanile as a persona. But also, none of her tier personas are god levels of powerful. That's Atlas's problem, not mine. So for now, we're just going to give it to her third tier persona, Ella. Because I don't know, I'm lazy, and I don't want to bother coming up with a persona on the spot. Is that fair? But you defeat Yaudabelt, and all is good. You hang out with the partner of your choosing on Christmas Eve. You guys finally realize, hey, we just saved the world from God on Christmas Eve. And you proceed to get arrested for saving the world on Christmas Eve. And that's the end if you're playing standard. However, I didn't play standard. Well, I did, but you know what I mean. There's more. But to discuss that, we have to talk about Royal spoilers. So, haven't played Royal? Third semester's great. Do it. I don't want to spoil it. But this is where this story actually really changes for Kasumi. Aside from you basically being able to date people of the opposite gender. And small story changes. Because Kasumi has a massive role in this dungeon. So, let's go. Also, yes, I just told everyone, go away if you haven't played Royal, and I know I'm using a code name for the boss, but shut up. I want to be safe in case you skip ahead. But welcome to the final arc. The final palace of the game. the Laboratory of Sorrow. Now, I did skip all this over earlier, but in between the Futaba and Akumara arcs, Joker, Ryuji, and Yusuke head out and go to a meat festival. Yeah, I'm not joking.
Okay.
The all-male party members go to a meat festival. What's that grin on your face for?
Just wonder what kind of meat they're having.
Meat. I feel like this is something Cheyenne would be interested in from Persona 4. But after that, you notice Kasumi. So Joker heads off to interact with her. You then proceed to end up in a palace. You run after Kasumi because she doesn't have a persona! And then you find Kasumi confronting another Kasumi. Again, this makes complete sense. That other Kasumi turns into a... fights you. Kasumi awakens to her persona.
Okay.
Sandrian. You, Kasumi, and the cat you always carry in your bag.
Okay.
Have a fight with Shadow Kasumi thing. And leave the palace, and this is never brought up again unless you do the third semester. Anyway, Goro Akechi's alive. I just mentioned that in such a random way. Yeah, instead of getting arrested, Akechi kind of just shows up from the dead. It's like, sup? I'll take your blame, Joker. But yeah, obviously, we'll mention the thing. Kasumi would go likely probably with female party members just to kind of keep that theme up. She'd probably go with like An and Makoto.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd notice Joker and head over to him. You'd end up in the palace. You'd go through like normal. And you'd notice that Joker is being confronted by another Joker. As I mentioned, for the sake of this, Kasumi's sister, Samire, doesn't exist. And Joker now is a twin brother.
Okay.
Joker then awakens to his persona Arson. Yeah, very late for the protagonist here, but, you know, gender swap thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we end up in the fight. And then, game proceeds as normal, and we're in the final dungeon. You wake up on New Year's to, a person sleeping next to you in your very small bed.
Okay.
Yeah, this arc starts off very weird.
Mm-hmm.
You head downstairs to find Futaba's dead mother alive. Just casually having breakfast with Futaba and Sojiro. Futaba's adopted father. You know, just the dead mother, just casually alive. And also the person who was sleeping next to you when you woke up for some reason. Who you've never met in your life. Anyway, you continue to head out when you get a text from... Well, normally you get a text from Kasumi, so now it's Joker. Basically saying, hey, wanna head to the shrine? It's New Year's and all.
Mm-hmm.
So you meet Kasumi there. And you run into all of your friends. Whom are acting odd. Makoto's parents seem to be alive. Futaba's mom is alive. Morgana's missing. Ryuji's leg never got broken. Shiho didn't jump off a building. Oh yeah, skipped over that. An's best friend jumped off a building in the Kamashita Arc.
Okay.
I'm sorry, just your reaction. Of me just going, by the way, a character jumped off a building and was like, oh, okay. Basically, all the crap these characters... Oh yeah, Akumara is still alive. All the crap these characters went through never happened. And also Morgana's missing. So you visit it, you head home, and you would have an interesting interaction. Normally, it's with Kasumi's father. In this case, it would be with the currently non-existent parent of Joker. In Persona 5 Royal, the Joker wrote, I'm just going to call it from now on, Kasumi's father calls her, and it gets kind of like distorted. Basically, what you can end up hearing from the distortion is just RE! So in this case, it would probably do a similar thing with the Joker twin. So like either like he, or N, depending on which Joker we go with. I just like choosing to have the names of the two Joker names that the community can't decide on. If it's Akira or Ren. I like that. But you continue home when Akechi meets you at the laundromat. Also, you live next to a laundromat. I never brought this up. It's like, hey, is it me or is something off? Since you're playing Kasumi, you're like, I mean, you're alive. You kinda died. When you get a call from what is normally Kasumi and now Joker, guys! You run over to where you met Joker at the meat festival. Pay attention, don't look at your phone. To find a giant palace! Which for some reason isn't in the metaverse. You decide to investigate. When you learn about, again, this is normally Samire's past and Kasumi's past. Now it is Ren and Akira's past. You find out that Joker's sibling is dead.
Okay.
And as you proceed through, Joker continues to get more and more anxious and like kind of just out of it. Until you find out who the leader of this palace is.
Who is?
Kaoto Maruki.
Okay.
Maruki shows the three of you. Again, this is normally Kasumi's past, now it's Joker's past. In said past, we see an argument between the twins.
Okay.
The one who is dead runs ahead and passes through a green light on a traffic road in Tokyo.
Great.
The other runs after them
Dead.
and pushes them out of the way, getting run over by a car.
Okay.
Again, in the base game, this is normally Kasumi and Samire. In this, it'd be the two Joker replacements.
Okay. All of them.
Hey, we're at the final arc of the game!
Okay, thank God.
You're just like, I hate being here. What, are you gonna go with the, oh, help me, I'm being held hostage routine again?
Yes.
The door's open.
Okay, keep going, I'm dying.
But you find out their past, and Joker kind of just falls to the floor and is taken by Maruki.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't want to fight you. Please realize what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give it the best for everyone. To make an ideal reality where everyone can be happy. You end up leaving the palace with Akechi and kind of go. And you decide, I'm going to try to snap my friends out of it.
Okay.
So you go around the week as basically, as someone's called it, Phantom Joker. Or in this case, Phantom Kasumi. Where you basically go to all your friends, something's wrong! Your parents are dead! And they just leave.
Alright. Kind of weird.
They all snap out of it. And also you find out who the random guy who was sleeping with you is.
Who?
Morgana.
Oh.
Your cat!
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, all fairness, Morgana wanted to be human. So for his
That
ideal
is
reaction,
true.
I am not a cat!
Yes.
But you basically proceed to have a heart-to-heart with all your cast members. Before rushing in to save Joker. You're quickly beat by a super buffed up through Maruki's power, Arsene. When as you're about to lose, an equivalent, the rest of the Phantom Thieves show up to help you.
Yeah.
You manage to beat it, but sadly Kasumi is still with Maruki by choice. You attempt to talk her out of it. You do, and she accepts to the fact that she is Sumire, unlocking the second, or in this case, Joker is the dead Joker, unlocking the second half of their icona. You then continue on to the palace, look into Maruki's past, learn how Joker, or Sumire, or in this case Joker, kind of just went, I'm the other person who's now dead. Maruki used persona magic to basically make them think they're the other person. Which, in all fairness, doesn't require surgery. I think they're identical twins. Well, I mean, kind of. I'll say this, in Royal, Kasumi, or Sumire, the one who's alive, has red eyes.
Okay.
Will, the dead one, has brown eyes. That's literally the only difference.
Okay.
But, that's aside, so it'd probably be something small like that. But you end up having to send Maruki the calling card. In what is my favorite calling card of the game. Maruki walks into LeBlanc and talks to Joker, or in this case, Kasumi.
Okay.
Basically saying, please, I just want to create an ideal world where everyone can be happy. You continue to push your ideals. And he basically gives you an ultimatum. He goes ahead and calls Akechi, who, by sheer coincidence, is peeking in through the window.
Okay.
Like, how did you know? It was a hunch. And basically says, if you stop me, Akechi will die. Same as usual. You can give in or not.
Okay.
As he's leaving, you slide the calling card into his pocket. And Infiltration Day happens. And this is where things get interesting. You have a pretty damn long conversation with Maruki. You basically just go, hey, this isn't the ideal world for everyone. Not everyone's going to be happy.
Okay.
You end up fighting Maruki as he tries to persuade you one last time to join him. I won't mention this too much, but throughout this fight, every time Maruki uses a new kind of special attack, he'll basically try to persuade one of your party members that's active. So basically, like Akechi, like, you'll be dead! Or on, like, don't you want to live in a world where your friend never jumped off a building? You know? They always decline. So this would have to be changed because obviously Joker doesn't have a sibling in this, and also basically kind of switch Joker and Kasumi's around. Because I mean, Kasumi, although I really don't understand that, like, Sumire, he can bring back people from the dead, yet he doesn't bring back Sumire's dead sister. I don't get that. I really don't. Like, you brought back everyone else's dead parents. You clearly have the power of resurrection. Whatever. And then you enter Phase 2. It basically proceeds as normal. Phase 3 is a glorified cutscene, which is amazing. And then you enter Phase 4. Maruki tries to pull you down with one last attempt. The protagonist jumps down and fights him. You're both exhausted. You literally just slap each other for like 10 turns. Maruki keeps basically going, I've lost everything! Please, just let me have this. Y'all explain that you and all of the Phantom Thieves are willing to go through whatever. Because you can't improve if you don't have strife. Which, I mean, is true.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Improvements come from failures. Can't really improve if there aren't failures. And you beat Maruki. The game ends basically the same. Again, I'm just switching Kasumi and Joker's roles.
Okay.
And the end. I'll be honest. I kind of wish this was a thing. Honestly, I'd just love to see the Maruki arc from a Kasumi perspective. But, like, I'll be honest. I did wish this was added in a row, just because, honestly, that'd give me another excuse to play this game 20 more times. Tell me what number I said.
Huh?
Tell me what number I just said.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I said 20.
20? What does that mean?
Apparently 10 and... I combined the numbers 10 and 20.
Can I go change that?
No. But, I guess, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Do you think this would have been a worthwhile feature to add?
Sure. It changes it up a little bit. Not much, but it changes it up a
In
little
all fairness, it would also have to rewrite like half the Confidants to account for you being female.
Yeah.
And then also come up with a replacement for Satin Isle.
Might be nice to choose if you wanted to be a male or female, though.
It's weird how little that happens in the series.
Yeah.
Like, you're basically stuck to being a guy.
Yeah.
In a series that basically just boils down to being a glorified social sim. I love Persona, but at its core, that's basically just what it is. But, honestly, I don't think Kasumi needed this. The game's perfect as is, really. And I think it'd be nice to give you an option, but it really doesn't matter too much. And hell, I think if they were to give a female option, they should not use an existing character. They should create a new character that's basically just Jokerette. And yes, I know there's a horrible name for it, but... Do you have a better name for a female Joker? What, Clown?
I don't know.
We're gonna call them Clown? But either way, it's just an interesting, like, thought experiment, so to speak. It's an interesting, just, what-if scenario.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts, at least. I'd say what are yours, but probably half the people clicked off on the Maruki part.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.